You're looking live at the Houston Texans as they prepare for their final preseason game at NRG Stadium. The Texans host the Super Bowl defending Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The starters include Tom Brady. He's expected to play at least a half. It's a big test for the Texans team as final roster cuts are just a few days away and the competition has heated up. But players have one final chance to put their best work on display tonight. Welcome in to Texans Unlimited, presented by Verizon. It starts now.
We are ready to rock in Houston.
Touchdown, Houston!
Are you kidding? What a catch. Oh, baby.
Well, welcome into Texans Unlimited, presented by Verizon. Home sweet home. The Texans close out their preseason tonight against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's only been 3 games, but it's been a really long month. I welcome in my good friend Drew Doherty joining us here live in the stadium. You're watching players warm up, and it's going to seem like as much of a regular season game as you can get in the preseason, Drew. They're treating it like the typical third preseason game when there used to be 4.
Yeah, and they're really rewinding it about a decade or so because over the last few years in that third preseason game, a lot of times you didn't see those starters like you're going to see tonight, knock on wood. If what we've been told over the last week is true, Tyrod Taylor and all those guys, or Tyrod Taylor, and all those guys
are
going to...
It is Tyrod now.
Yeah,
he corrected us again.
But they're going to go into the third quarter because David Culley wants to see halftime adjustments and how this team can make them. So it's going to be fun to see. We will get to see a little bit of Tom Brady and the Bucs as well, if that holds true as well. So it's going to be fun tonight. It's as close as we're going to get to a regular season football game.
Drew, what have you really liked about this team through the last 2 preseason games?
I've loved the defense. I've loved the defensive line and the way they get after the quarterback and the way they've made things uncomfortable for the passer. Whether it's the first unit all the way down to the rookies like Roy Lopez, they've all registered sacks, quarterback hits. I mean, they had 5 of them, 5 sacks in the last game, 9 quarterback hits in the last game as well. And then the takeaways. How can you not love the takeaways? That's the obvious one. 7 in 2 games. You had 9 in 16 games all of last year. Now, it's preseason. You're going against players who are probably not going to see the field this year. Nevertheless, the other team is not doing that to the Texans, so I've been very encouraged by what we've seen there.
It's been a lot of fun watching the takeaways, and Lovie Smith calls them takeaways. He does not call them turnovers. He'll correct you because he says it's not the offense turning the ball over, it's the defense taking the ball away. So they've been a lot of fun to watch. You've been a lot of fun to watch. You're down on the sidelines for all these preseason games. He's going to run down to the field right after the show, and when I say run, he's going to make a hard sprint all the way down from the 5th level down to the field. You can watch him on ABC 13. That's where you can watch the broadcast. Drew will be on the sidelines, and on radio we'll have, of course, Mark Vandermeer, Andre Ware, and John Harris on the sideline doing the radio broadcast. So a lot of fun, Drew. I know you really enjoy being on the sideline. I miss having you up for this pregame show, so it's definitely good to be back.
You're too kind, but we got to get some news out of the way. I know you've got some fun stuff to pitch to, so yeah, pitch on, DP. We've
got to get to some quick hits, some big stories of the week. Well, David Culley says there are no starters on this team, but the veteran players like Tyrod Taylor, Brandon Cooks, Justin Reed, they've played limited snaps through these 2 preseason games, but we will see more of them tonight. David Culley was asked how he plans to balance playing the veterans versus some of the players that are on the bubble ahead of roster cuts just a few days away.
The final evaluation is the most important, but it is important for us to also to take those guys that hadn't played a whole bunch this preseason, to be able to get them at least through a half and maybe the start of the third quarter, to where they at least know what it feels like to go through at least a half and a quarter coming out for halftime adjustments. And we'll try to do that.
In last week's preseason win over Dallas 20-14, the Texans did a lot of things really well. The offense did not turn the ball over, but one area they really struggled, they were unable to convert on third down. They were 0 for 10. It's been a point of emphasis this week, Tyrod Taylor said, to get better on third down conversions.
We could be better in all phases. Communication is where it starts. Of course, executing. We wasn't in situations where it was 3rd and 9 manageable. When I say that, 10 plus, we were in 3rd and manageable. It's just about executing. We watched the film and seeing where we could be better at that, and we just got to take the right steps of cleaning that up and getting on the right track this week as we go into the season.
Defensive coordinator Lovie Smith's defense has forced 7 takeaways through 2 preseason games. That includes 4 last week at Dallas. While they are shining in the takeaway department, Lovie Smith said there's still work to be done for this defense.
Oh, there's a lot. I mean, we could do a better job taking the ball away. We had some other opportunities that we left on the field last week, but it always starts up front, stopping the run. And we're about a gap-sound defense, playing hard, getting 11 guys to the ball. That's the first thing we talk about. Once you have good gap control, you're flying around to the football and you have 11 guys at the point of attack, takeaways come then. We had a couple breakouts. Believe me, we gave up a few plays last week. Not satisfied with how we played third downs. We had some opportunities we let slip away, but hopefully we can take another step this week.
And, I know, Drew, a lot of us are looking to see if Lovie Smith's defense can keep that takeaway train going. They've done a tremendous job. I think last week, Charles Omenihu really shined in Dallas. The arrow is pointing high for him. He had 3 tackles, 2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss, 2 quarterback hits, 1 fumble recovery. They start off the game so fast, getting that takeaway early on. Then the offense scored with Mark Ingram scoring a touchdown. I know they want to see better conversions on third down. They want to be able to move the ball a little bit better. That first drive was a slugger. It was 7 plays for 29 yards. So it'll be interesting to see how this offense and this defense improve. So I know you guys have a lot of questions. If you have questions, please send those in, and we love hearing where you guys are watching from.
Yeah, Elvis is alive, and he's in Brazil, and he's watching this right now. So thank you, Elvis, for checking us out. We've also got folks in El Paso and Miami chiming in. And the first one is question not about the Texans, but it's about the team on the field that they'll face. And it's understandable because it's the GOAT, the greatest of all time, Tom Brady. Amanda wants to know, do you think Tom Brady will play tonight? Bruce Arians, the head coach of the Super Bowl champs, said yes. Tom Brady and the starters will play because they've got to get a tune-up in between now and the Thursday night opener, which is basically 3 nights before the Texans kick off here at NRG Stadium against Jacksonville. But they played a series the first week. They didn't play at all last week at Tennessee because they had practiced with the Titans. But yes, I think you'll see Tom Brady on the field tonight. And Adrian wants to know how many starters will play for each team. I think you'll see quite a bit of them, if not all of them. Maybe most of them, DB.
Yeah, I think so. David Culley says we don't technically have any starters. You and I can guess who the starting players are. They're the guys that have really had a lot of experience on this team and in this league. So, through the first half and into the third quarter, that's what David Culley said. He wants to see them, make those halftime adjustments and see how they play into the third quarter. This is the most you're going to see the Texans, quote, preseason starters play that you've seen throughout the entire preseason. So if you really want to get a good sense of this team, I think tonight's going to be the night to see it.
I agree.
Sylvia wants to know, will we be able to watch the game here? Of course you will be able to watch the game here. You can catch it on ABC 13. You can catch it on HoustonTexans.com, the Houston Texans mobile app. You can listen on Sports Radio 610. We have got you covered.
Yeah, you can watch that on the mobile app and on the website if you live in the Houston viewing area. So if you're outside of Houston, you can't watch it there. But if you're in Houston, those are the ways to watch it. And Javari, who is great at sending questions, we love hearing from Javari. He wants to know, it's a good one, will Laramie Tunzel be ready to play week 1 against the Jaguars? And if you listen to David Culley, yes. He's not very worried about the Pro Bowler. He thinks he'll be back from COVID in time. We saw him out at practice all week. He was not practicing with the team, but he was doing work on the side fields and building back that conditioning up. So he should be ready to go against the Jags.
Yeah, I mean, he's been working on the side field. He's on that COVID list. Sometimes I wonder how much of his coming off the COVID list is just him getting better and how much of it is just, you've got a roster spot where you allow one extra guy to be on the active roster and he gets to play in tonight's game. Obviously, Laramie Tunzel's going to make the team, but, you get to have an extra man on your 80-man roster and see what he's able to do. So, I mean, I think that could be a part of it, but Laramie certainly looks like he should be ready for week 1. Of course, many things can change, but, we've got a couple of weeks until then, so the arrow is pointing high because we've definitely seen him around the building. We've seen him out on the practice field. He was launching footballs the other day. He was trying his arm at passing. And
all these guys are just phenomenal athletes. And you got a lot of guys that used to play quarterback. I don't know if he played quarterback. Shoot, Titus Howard is the guy that's playing to his right at left guard. He was an option quarterback in high school.
And he still got it because he was throwing it too. And perfect spiral.
He sure does.
Very nice ball he throws.
Adam has a question. Who will be the standouts on offense and defense? Let's start with the defense. Malik Collins has really impressed me all preseason long, all training camp as well. He gets after it. He's a guy that Lovie Smith says, if you get him in one-on-one matchups with an offensive guard, he's going to win just about every time. And if that's the case, you're going to get a push there in the middle, and you're going to cause some problems in the backfield, whether it's a run or a pass. So I would look for Malik Collins. Now, he might not register a bunch of stats, but he's going to free things up for like Charles Omenihu, like he did last week. So I love Collins as far as a standout on offense.
Yeah, I'd Lovie Smith. I asked him about Malik Collins a few weeks ago. He had such great things to say about him because Malik has played a number of years in this league. He's played in a 4-3, so you bring in a guy who's very familiar with what he's supposed to do on this team, and he can win the one-on-one battles, and he's playing really well in a D-line group that's so competitive right now. I mean, that is a fierce competition happening at the D-line group, and it's nice to have a veteran on the team who's new, but actually has a lot of experience playing in this sort of scheme. So him, and I would add to that Desmond King. He has been fun to watch on punt returns, and seeing him back in the secondary, he's got some great hands. So I really like Desmond King so far. I know he was one of your picks this offseason because he had a Pro Bowl year, All-Pro year, actually a few years ago, and second-team All-Pro in the return game. So
and I didn't expect to see what we've seen from him in
better
the return
than
game.
expected.
He was good there in San Diego and Los Angeles in the return game, but he wasn't this good. I mean, the 2 times he's touched the ball on punts, I mean, he's gone for 43 yards and 25 yards. I mean, it's massive in terms of helping out with field position for the offense.
What about standouts on offense?
Offense,
we've given lots of love to the defense. But
I think Pharaoh Brown, the tight end, is somebody that you can count on and somebody that's probably going to get a lot of run this year. Jordan Akins is somebody that Tyrod Taylor has said, this guy 2 or 3 times during camp has made me say, wow, audibly with the catches he's made. And Taylor said it's probably in large part to his baseball background. If you remember, Akins spent 4 years in the Texas Rangers minor league system, and he was a center fielder, so tracking the ball, tracking those fly balls, maybe sometimes helps, and he thinks it definitely helps in the case of bringing the football in. But the tight ends, Akins, Pharaoh Brown, 2 that I would watch as far as standouts in this offense.
Yeah, those are good ones. I'm going to go with a quieter one. I'm going to go Justin Britt, the center.
Yeah, that's a great one.
I mean, he's not going to show up on the stat sheet, but he's holding down the offensive line. He said something this week I really liked. He said he's over-communicating to everyone along the line, and there's been a lot of different players in the mix, especially with Laramie Tunzel out this preseason. But I feel like he's just such a, he is a stalwart of that offensive line. He does a lot of good things for those young players. So I'm going to go Justin Britt because I feel like the O-line, we just don't give enough love playing in the trenches.
Good call there. I like that. Justin Britt, good interview as well. He also was a high school wrestler and said he would smoke any of the other high school wrestlers like Justin Mcrae, Malik Collins, Roy Lopez, who are all excellent high school wrestlers in their own right. He said, I was an All-American. I was undefeated. They don't have a chance. We still got some more questions. Emmanuel has a good one. What kind of progress have you seen from Keke QT? And this is an interesting one. I haven't seen any progress because Keke this offseason and this preseason and this camp has been the same guy he's been since he was a rookie because he was very, very impressive in those Mays and Junes and Augusts and Julys. He was really, really good. And he's done what he's always done since he's been here. Now, the difference perhaps and hopefully this year is they'll give him a little room to breathe and they'll give him a chance because he's made some mistakes. He's fumbled the ball at some inopportune times. And just like that, they would curtail his playing time in those years past. I don't think much has changed with QT. I just think the guy needs a chance, and he can really do some great things for this offense and help you move the chains, get into the end zone, and really flourish.
It's been fortuitous for him because that slot receiver position was so competitive. You see Anthony Miller go down with an injury. Randall Cobb gets traded to the Green Bay Packers, and then there's Keke QT, and the slot receiver competition sort of opened up for him. So he really has a chance to make a name for himself. Another guy who's making a name for himself, Justin Mcrae. He has worked with offensive line coach James Campen in 3 different places. He rejoins him again here in Houston. I had a chance to catch up with Justin Mcrae this week. It's a Deep Slant 101 presented by Xfinity. My guest today, offensive lineman Justin Mcrae. Justin, we've talked to a lot of offensive linemen about James Campen. I feel like you're the perfect person to ask because you've been with him in 3 different places. I don't know if he's following you or you're following him, but Green Bay in 2017-18, Cleveland, right, in 2019, and now here. So what can you tell us about what that's been like for you, just following an offensive line coach, and how easy the transition's been for you since coming here?
Honestly, Camp's probably the best offensive line coach I've ever been with just because the way he teaches and the confidence he gives guys when they go out and play.
How about for yourself? You've played all over the offensive line just in your time in the league. Where do you really feel like you're most comfortable, or what does your skill set lend itself to?
I'm pretty much, I can go out there and play whatever in a pinch. That's what I've been doing since I was in Green Bay and Cleveland a little bit too, last year in Atlanta. But I feel most comfortable at center and guard, obviously. More center. But whatever the team needs me to do that week, I can do it.
And you played arena football, right? So how does that prepare you? Does that help you more in pass protection, or how do you feel like that's really helped your skill set playing in a different league?
Well, I played fullback in arena football, which is pretty much
Okay.
which is pretty much like a running back picking up a blitz in the A gap every play. But I think it helped me play in space a little more. The field's a little smaller, but there's a lot more room to work with for linemen.
Were you the biggest fullback in the league?
Actually, it's a glorified position just because where you line up at, but it was pretty much a lineman who got the ball every now and then.
All right, you've got a twin brother as well, so have you guys played together in football and in college. Give me your best twin swapping position story. Have you ever tried to beat each other?
We tried to in college. We had a coach in college, Brent Key, who he recruited us also, so it was hard to switch with him. And then my dad was my O-line coach in high school, so it wasn't really any fooling. So we tried to switch jerseys one time in college, but it got sniffed out right away.
Oh, you guys got caught out. So your dad being an offensive line coach, how has that really helped your development as well? Does he watch your film? Does he still see what you're doing?
Yeah, he still watches every game. When we went to college, he ended up getting TiVo with DirecTV and watching all our games and telling us what he think we could work on and what we did well. So he's pretty much been a coach since ninth grade.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing to have your dad watching all your games?
I think it's a good thing just because it gives him, he retired after we stopped playing. It gives him something to do at the house, and it's still a way for us to bond and stuff even when we're both away. Jordan's away playing arena ball and I'm here. So it gives us a chance to bond and stuff when we're not around each other.
All right, we've got a couple of players on the team that are big into wrestling, and you were district champion in high school in wrestling, so I feel like you've got Justin Britt, and then you got Malik Collins on the other side, Roy Lopez. Have you guys discussed wrestling? I know Justin Britt's a big fan of anyone that wants to play offensive or defensive line to go into wrestling.
Yeah, well, once I found out that JB wrestled in high school, we messed around a little bit in the weight room, but nothing serious. But I think I'm definitely the best wrestler on the team. I think everybody else will tell you the same thing, but they're probably lying. Yeah,
because Justin said that he retired his shoes on the mat. So but he thinks he can still win. But you feel like you got a little.
No, I got him 100%. It's me.
All right. What about for yourself? There's one more preseason game. You got a little bit left of camp. How do you want to get better? How do you want to improve?
I just want to keep going out there and working on the little things for me personally. I feel like the better player that I become personally, it'll help the team out more. So whatever they need me to play, center guard, or even if I need to play a little tackle, just working on my technique and being a guy that can get in there and do whatever they need me to do.
All right, great stuff, Justin. Pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.
Justin Mcrae, you'll probably see him tonight, maybe playing at center, maybe a little bit of guard, maybe a little bit of both. We've seen a little bit of him out in the preseason. He's very versatile. He's actually played multiple positions on the offensive line, even as a rookie. So brings some good depth to this O-line, and I'm curious to see what happens when this O-line group shakes out. I talked to James Campen earlier in the week, and this is going to be an important game for these guys.
Big time. Yeah, it's a very important game. And Matthew has a tremendous question. It floored me. Said, who do you think needs to have a good game
to
potentially make the roster? Now, I don't know how the Texans and Nick Caserio are viewing this game as far as that goes. I don't know if they think, well, this guy's got to have a good game or else, he's donezo. I don't know if that's the case, but I would look for guys like Scotty Phillips and Buddy Howell. Hey, if they have an excellent game, do they push one of these veterans, those 4 veterans that are already in the running backs room, do they push one of them out? I don't know. It might not even matter how they do, but those are 2 that I would keep an eye on.
Yeah, and I think the defensive line group, it's just such a big group right now. I think there'll be a big rotation heading into the season, but I think all those guys need to have a big game because they're going to have limited reps out there. There's a big rotation when Levy's moving those guys in and around. So I think all the defensive linemen as well. So thank you all for your questions, and we want to let you know that tickets are still available. The regular season is just around the corner. The Texans are going to host the Jacksonville Jaguars in week 1. Trevor Lawrence and company, Urban Meyer. You're not going to want to miss it. Go to HoustonTexans.com. Go to your upper right hand corner, click on the tickets button, and you could be here. We're smelling funnel cake. We're smelling all sorts of delicious food. That could be you in a few weeks. So be sure to do that. And if you're at the game tonight, be sure to hashtag that football feeling, and you might see your tweet and your pictures on the broadcast along with this guy over here. So catch him on ABC 13. Kickoff's coming up in just a little bit. That's going to do it for Texans Unlimited, presented by Verizon. Thank you to all of you for watching, and as always, go Texans.